and good morning, good afternoon, and very good evening to you, the good people of the tube. Hope you're all today, hope you're feeling grand and always well in your world. Hello there. Anyway, today's video, everybody, is all about this amplifier. Yes, I finally have my disgusting little hands on a Marshall Origin 20. And I have to say, I am very impressed. I've gone cross-eyed for some reason, but I am very impressed with this amplifier. I have to thank Mr. Ian, the owner of the Silver Jubilee, who has lent me this as well. So, Ian, thank you very much indeed for the loan of this as well. It's really nice. I really like this amp. It was, what was it? It's billed as like a, you know, like a pedal platform thing, but it's so much more than just a pedal platform. This thing. This has got Paul Kossoff in it. When you plug a Les Paul into this thing, it does Paul Kossoff. There's a lot of information about the Marshall code, so I'll just briefly touch on that. We're going to dive into making noise with this thing, because that's where the fun lies. You don't want to hear me talking. You want to hear this amp. Okay, so, no standby on this amplifier. It's a 20 watt, so it doesn't really need a standby. Okay, so we've got an on-off switch here. We've got a high, medium, and low power section. So high being the ultimate kind of like, you know, power, ultimate power, 20 watts, medium being knocked down a bit more, and low being knocked down a bit more. I will not be using the low setting as I don't like it. I think the low setting makes the amp really fizzy. It just accentuates high frequencies for some reason, like high treble, and I don't know why it does that. So I'll only be using the high and medium outputs. I will not be using the low output mode at all. I just don't like it. It's just not, it doesn't show this amp in a very good light, I don't think. I mean, it's okay for when we're running pedals for it, but I don't really like it. So I'm just going to use the high and, the high and the medium, the mid kind of like power bit. Okay, so that's what we got there. That's the output. Lovely orange indicator light. I really like the Origin 20 logo. I like the font. I'm a fan of the font. Okay, so moving along, we have like a master section here, next section along. Got a presence and a master volume. And then we've got our EQ section, which is treble, middle, bass, and tilt. Now, tilt is one of my favourite dials of all time that's appeared on an amplifier. I don't really know what it does, but I just like it. It kind of like, it darkens tone and then also brings it up. Let me show you really quickly. If I go to a really clean sound. So, this is tilt all the way down. I should put the golden plexi on, actually. So really dark. Tilt at about halfway just brightens it up a bit more, but doesn't make it fizz like treble would. Or, you know, not really presence, but yeah, you know. And then tilt all the way up, which is where I had it for the intro jam. It's just lovely. What it seems to do, it just kind of like cut out the bass frequencies and just boost the high end in the perfect spot, which makes me very happy indeed, because I don't have to use the treble then. It's got a presence dial, which I do love. I love presence over treble. If somebody says, oh, what do you want on your amp, treble or presence? I'm like, presence. Okay, so tilt, and so treble, middle, bass, and tilt, and then over here you got a gain dial, which you can pull out for a gain boost as well. So it's like a push, well, it's not a push-pull. Wait, yeah, it is a push-pull. Yes, push-pull pot. So basically, when it's in, it's normal gain. When you pull it out, you get a gain boost. I will show you that in a bit. On the back, you've got an effects loop. You've got outputs for 8 ohm speaker cabs and a 16 ohm speaker cabs. We're running it at 16 ohm. You got a foot switch, which kind of confused me when I was doing the intro jam. I was like, because I got my Ditto looper running through the effects loop. I was like, why is my loop? Why is my loop working? I didn't realise you had to turn the effects loop on, which was a bit weird. And then you got a boost function as well, where you can control the gain boost from a foot switch. But I will be unplugging the foot switch now. We're just going to go straight into the amp without that. Okay, so what I thought I would do is, first things first, I thought I would show you how this amp responds to my pedals. So I'm going to plug my pedal board into it, you'll hear it, my pedal board through it, and then after that we're just going to go straight into the amp, no pedals, and just with a couple of different guitars, go nuts, basically. Okay, so first things first. Oh, let me tell you the settings I've got at this point in time as well for my pedal board. Okay, so I have presence all the way up on 10. I like presence. It's not fizz. It's just like it's brightness. It's nice. It clears things up. So presence is all the way up on 10. I have the master at 1.5. Oh, we're in the high output mode as well. So master is at 1.5. Treble is all the way off. Mids are at 5. No bass. Bass is turned all the way down, and I have the tilt control all the way up on 10, and I have gain all the way up on 10. So yeah, that's how I've got the amp set at this point in time. So all the reverb you'll hear, all the delay you'll hear of distortion, you know, overdrive, stuff like that, will come from pedals. So the main clean tone without the golden plexi from the amp is this. With the golden plexi does this. So anyway, you'll hear that better in a sec. I'll turn the room mics off. So let's get on with that. And also, okay, yes, sorry about that, everybody. I also have to thank Mr. Liam Gardner for the loan of this fantastic guitar. This is a Oswald double bound Telly custom, or is it custom Telly? I'll never know which way around it is. But anyway, Nick, I've got another one of your guitars, and Mr. Liam, thank you very much indeed for the loan of this. It's absolutely gorgeous and sounds glorious and feels glorious. Anyway, you're going to hear it a bit more in a sec. So let's turn the room mics off and make some noise with the Origin. Ah! Can't breathe. Okay, so that's the Origin with pedals. As you can hear, everything is running to the front end. The only thing is an effects loop is the looper pedal, and I'm not using that just then. It just works. It really, I mean, even delays in the front end. Everything's just nice. It just takes pedals like an absolute champ, although it's an Origin. Anyway. I don't know what that was. Anyway, yeah, this guitar is rather special, I've got to say. This guitar, this amp, my gravy, these pedals, this sound, oh my god! Anyway, moving along. Yes, so that's the Origin with pedals. Yes, it works with pedals. Yeah, I mean, somebody said it, I read it as well, like they were marketed as a pedal platform, and I totally get that. But it's so much more when you go straight in with certain guitars. It's like, Okay, so yeah, gonna turn the pedal board off now. We're gonna go straight into a Marshall Origin with a couple of different guitars, make some noise, see what we can get just out of the amp on its own without pedals now. So let's turn the room mics off, let's go straight into the amp and have some fun. Let's get some tones going. Oh, that was. I got possessed by a bee. Yes, let's get going with that, sorry. Ha. Okie dokie, there you go everybody, that's the Marshall Origin 20. It's not an amp of loads of tones, but what tones it does have is very, very nice. And I'll say, it's loads of tones if you run pedals for it, but just like straight in and cranked, that last sound you just heard, the Bark at the Moon sound, which I really struggle to play. I can play it better on a Strat style guitar than a Les Paul style guitar, but that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. It's just basically I'm just not as good as Jake E. Lee. But what's new? Anyway, yes, the Origin 20, everybody. Like I say, it's not an amp of loads and loads of tones, but it's a Marshall. You know what I mean? It's undeniably a Marshall. You know what I mean? The tone of this thing just screams classic kind of like cranked up plexi tones. That's what this amp says to me. It just sounds, it feels and sounds like those old plexis. You know, I wouldn't say it sounds like the plexi panels. I would say it sounds more like the brass panel plexis, which I suppose some people will argue they're not plexis, but they are. But the brass panel plexis, I think, have a bit more aggression to them. They're not as warm as the actual kind of like, you know, like the late 60s plexis, as like the J1045s and stuff like that. And the JM, you know, they're all still JMPs, but this sounds a lot more like the brass panel plexi than it does the actual kind of like, you know, actual plexi panel to me. It's just got a bit more aggression. It doesn't sound like the Mark II Super Leads. It still sounds like the Mark 1s, but it's definitely the brass panels. But it's a beast. So the last setting I had the master and the gain on 10 on the medium setting, and it was loud. That is loud, and it's probably the loudest demo I've ever done. But it sounds amazing. I really like the sound of it. It's really in your face at that point. I didn't use the low mode at all because, like I say, the low mode I think makes this amp go fizzy, and I don't like that. It just kind of like thins it out. It attenuates it in a very kind of like unnatural way. I mean, the best way to run this amp is on the high output, just full stop. You know what I mean? Cranked on the high output, although it's excruciatingly loud, gives you an amazing sound if you run the master volume really high and the gain on full. It's really, really cool. This thing gets really hot though. Like, this is super, super, super hot. The switches are really hot. It reminds me of Vox AC30, the old Vox AC30s, where you have to turn them off by putting your hand in your sleeve because they got too hot. You could fry an egg on them. This thing does get super hot, so it's probably biased quite hot. Which might not be the best news for your valves if you're running it flat out all the time. But, like I say, plugging straight into this amp is great fun. Plugging pedals into it is even more fun because you get more variety of sounds, as you heard at the beginning. You know, things going into the front end sound great. Things going into the effects loop sound great. It's just a great amp. It's a really good amp. Some of you are probably going to ask, this or the Marshall Silver Jubilee? I do like this, but the Jubilee wins for me. The Jubilee is still like, you know, if I ever kind of like bought a valve amplifier, you know, in that mystical world of never, it would have to be a Jubilee. If somebody said, I'm taking all these amps away from you and you're only allowed one amp in the world, you know, and it's got to be valve, you know, what would it be? Like, you know, I'd have to pick a Silver Jubilee. Although I do really like this amp, I like the fact it's a Marshall, because a lot of modern Marshalls to me don't sound like Marshalls. That's just me, it's just my opinion. I don't like the fuzzy modern sound that some amps have, that some modern Marshall amps, get it right in a minute, have. And this one just harkens back to those days of old, where, you know, you plugged into it and you turned it up and you went with either, you know, a Strat or a Telecaster or a Les Paul, and it just responds to the way you play, and I love that. It's really, really nice. Like I said, the heat of it does worry. Actually, I'm going to turn it off. It does worry me. But yeah, anyway, it's very, very hot. But you know, valve amps do get supremely hot sometimes, especially if they're biased really hot. And I said Marshall's preset bias sometimes can be a bit iffy. But anyway, I'm going to let this thing cool down now as I've been running it ragged. And I really do love this amp. It is one of I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite amps I've ever plugged into, but it's definitely you know, I've definitely really enjoyed it. My playing has been shoddy, so I do apologise for my shoddy playing. It's been really shocking today. Just a bit, you know, morning fingers. It's not the morning, but you know what I mean. That's my excuse. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the morning at this point in time. I've been up like, you know, all night. Oh yeah, right. Who are you trying to kid, Dave? Anyway, yes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody, on the Marshall Origin 20. Like I say, it's not an amp of millions of tones on its own, but it is when you plug pedals into it, and it really does work as a pedal thing. It's got the tilt dial, which is like one of the best things ever. It really is. I love that tilt dial. Throughout the entire demo, actually, to be honest with you, all the EQ I used was presence and tilt. I had the mids on a little bit, but not really. I never touched the treble dial. I used the bass a little bit, but most of the time, what you heard me messing around with was either presence or tilt, or presence and tilt, and maybe mids on the odd occasion. I don't know if you'll be able to see the settings, and like a clever man, I've just realised I didn't write them down. Sometimes, Dave, sometimes you try my patience. Why, Dave? Well, because, Dave, you forgot to write down the settings, didn't you? Yes, but I got carried away. Yeah, but you always do, don't you? Yes. Anyway, moving on. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. I've got to say massive thanks to Ian again for the loan of this. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to demo this amp. It's been really good fun, and I've really enjoyed it. I do wish it still had the line across the middle, like the actual kind of like plexi look. It looks too much like the Marshall Code. Sends me into cold shivers, like that. I would like to. I like that strip across the middle. I don't know why. Again, it's because I'm a plexi nerd. I really love the look of a plexi, but yeah, I do. Like I say, I will say, just, you know, sum up. It's like a plexi, but it's like a brass panel plexi, not a plexi panel plexi. There's a lot of word plexi there. Anyway, I'm going to stop saying plexi. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. I'll see you again very soon. Yes, have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening. I'll see you on Wednesday for our Q&A. Goodbye now. Thank you very much for watching. Oh yeah, by the way, people of the tube, before I do go, actually, what did you think to this amp? Well, what was your opinion? What did you like? What didn't you like? You know, what was your opinion on this amp? Let us know in the comment section below, and I will see you again on Wednesday. Goodbye now. Thank you very much for watching.